What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
Tay, you linked the story here for potential new head coaches for the New Orleans Saints. And, you know, it's something because the last couple of weeks have gone really well. The Rizzler, hadn't really talked about it or thought about it.
No.
I want to do this. Tay, you pull it up. You give us the four names one at a time. And T-Bob, you and I can react to the names here and see how we feel about them.
Wait, hold on. I need y'all to stall for 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Hold on.
Okay, well, we got you. Tay, go ahead.
Very interested to see
How
what
do we
this
go
is.
from 30 to 10 to 15? I don't.
This is from John Hendricks at SI.com. So he put 4 new candidates in there because, we know the hot names, everybody out there that everybody wants. I mean, you hear Vrabel, you hear all the young guys. So he put 4 together that were not on any of the previous lists. So the first one, Cliff Kingsbury.
Ooh. Look. There's some people that are meant to be certain things in life. And Cliff Kingsbury is a couple of things, right? Good-looking fella, could play really well in the air raid, and be an offensive coordinator. At a very high level, he's tried to be a head coach a couple of different times and a couple of different levels. There's players that are fullbacks and not tailbacks. There's tailbacks and aren't fullbacks. There's tight ends that are Y's and not F's. There's F's that are F's and not Y's. You have a purpose in this life, and his purpose is to call plays. It's not to lead a team.
Well, I don't know, Jake.
When
you have an exciting young quarterback like Derek Carr, how could you not want to invest in him with a mind like Cliff Kingsbury? No, get the hell out of here. No one know Cliff Kingsbury, dude.
Yeah, that's bad.
Not because first off, because I do think Jake is right, and secondly, contextually, it doesn't make sense because it's not like you have like a young quarterback that you're leaning into or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. So no, I'm out on that. That's not going to happen. That should not happen.
All right, next name. Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores.
Actually, he was pretty good in Miami. Kind of got screwed, got the short end of the stick by ownership. Didn't go along with their tampering shenanigans. It's a deeply unexciting hire,
right?
As most defensive coaches are. But I don't, because look, I'm viewing Jake, like my mindset entering these conversations is this is a coach that's probably not going to survive. Like, I think this coach is going to get handed a plate of poop and be told to make a meal out of it, in terms of the cap and the roster and everything else. Yeah. And I think they will struggle. Now, knowing the Saints, they don't like to be reactive. So, maybe he'd have a better chance of lasting than other places. But I view this kind of like a bridge opportunity. And so while Flores would be unexciting, he was good in Miami. Like, I actually kind of like that one.
I don't hate that one, but I am one of those people that likes to go the opposite of what you've had. You've had a defensive head coach. I would like to maybe see an offensive head coach here, and not a retrend. And that's nothing against him because his career was better in Miami than Dennis Allen's was in Oakland, because every head coach that had ever really been anywhere outside of like 3 people ever in the NFL had been better than when Dennis Allen was in Oakland. Okay. But maybe somebody that's not had that opportunity to be a head coach. Although I'm with you, T-Bob, that would certainly not be worst case scenario, and I would love that way more than Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
All right, next name on the list. This is a guy who we had actually talked about last offseason for the offensive coordinator position. He ultimately turned that one down, wound up taking the job with the Bengals. Dan Pitcher.
Slide Dan Pitcher?
No. What is this? Are you using a white name generator? Are you just making up generic? Or are you on an NCAA creative player? I have no what? Dan Pitcher? Dan Misser? No. Yeah. In all seriousness, Actually, and also, okay, in all seriousness, that's another guy who, like Jake, if you do want to go opposite, like you said, that checks that box. And because it's going to be transitional, you might as well take a shot on a guy. The problem is if you're a pitcher and you're kind of one of the hot young candidates, I think the bigger question would be like, would you take the Saints job? If you're going to be up for other jobs.
Yeah, I wonder what the value of the Saints job is, like in those circles. Like, where is it going to be with the ones that are going to be open? It's an older team. It's got salary cap issues. You don't have a young quarterback. There's a lot. There's a lot of questions that I would have to ask if I'm taking that job. I don't think it's the worst job. I think, you're going to have support and all those type of things, but you don't have the advantages of some of the other places that are going to have the things that we said you don't have. And so that name – kind of a type move right now.
I mean, the Bengals offense has been good this year, right? But it's like he has Joe Burrow, you know?
And, yeah.
Like I would rather, I mean, shoot, I really like what Clint Kubiak's done. But whatever. I know like they're not gonna do that. Okay, next up.
No.
Speaking of Clint Kubiak, this is a guy that comes from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, so it would be a good fit there with Kyle Shanahan. Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick.
He's been a name. That's
he interviewed for 5 head coaching jobs.
That's been tossed around for a couple of years now. That's kind of the mold that I'm talking about. Like, look, if you ask me, hey, you get to go pick one person in the NFL to be the Saints head coach, it would be Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator. Yeah. I wouldn't hesitate. I would drive to Detroit to go pick him up and bring him back down to New Orleans if they wanted me to, because I would be that excited about having that guy in your building. So if we're talking coordinators, sure, he'd be in the top 3, but Ben Johnson would be my number 1 choice. He's an offensive mind. He's a young guy. He's not been a head coach. He turned that entire, like that offense, and they've got pieces, but like Jared Goff, we all thought that he was going to go to the quarterback graveyard. And now a couple of weeks ago, he's in the MVP conversation. They've got a great running back room. They've got a star at receiver, but he gets the most out of every single player. And the thing I love, T-Bob, he uses every single weapon on that team. Like you can't figure out what they're doing because he's spreading the football around to all his playmakers.
But here's the deal, though, Jake. That's how everybody feels about Ben Johnson. You know that. So the Saints don't have a chance.
Well, John Hendricks in this article put out like, hey, I'm not mentioning Vrabel, Ben Johnson, like guys that are going to kind of have their pick of the litter. He's like, this would be like the next tier guys, the under the radar guys that he put together.
What jobs are going to be open if we're going to talk about that? And I just did as far as what the Saints don't have. Like, what jobs are we expecting to be open that are going to be more attractive? And again, that's not a rhetorical question. That's me asking the question. What jobs do we think?
Will the Jags open up?
Potentially. But, I mean, that's –
maybe if you're one of these OCs, though, you see Trevor Lawrence, and you're like, I can fix that guy.
Well, of course, they all think Jets. They can fix it. Yeah, I wouldn't go be the Jets or Giants head coach for any amount of money.
I wouldn't either. I'm just naming ones that are available.
All right, so of the bottom feeder team.
Do you think Antonio Pierce survives with the Raiders?
I think he will. It's
he'll probably get another year. Cleveland's probably going to be open.
Yeah.
All right, would you want to go there?
Cleveland would be intriguing. I know that's been a bit of a graveyard, but like I don't know that. I mean, but I guess do you still have to deal with Deshaun Watson?
Chicago would be probably.
Chicago, I'd want to go to Chicago for sure, right? Who wouldn't?
Yeah. You know one we're not talking about that might be open that everybody would run to is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Cincinnati becomes open, every coach that's ready to be a head coach would line up and wait in the line like they were going to a Taylor Swift concert to get an interview for that job.
Now, would Dan Pitcher have the fast track to that, though?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
So to your point, Jake, like, yes, I think the Saints are better jobs than some. Like, they're definitely better than, like you said, than the Giants and the
Jets,
and the Jets, but maybe not as good as the others. I mean, the thing about Slowick, though, aren't they talking about taking play calling duties away from Slowick maybe right now?
Yeah, their offense
like he's kind of going through it a little bit right now.
Yeah, their offense is stalled. It is not. I mean, They've been able to run the ball
And
with
if-
Mixon, but they've had some injuries, but it hasn't been what it was the last couple of years.
But it's like,
Last
as
year.
dumb as this sounds, if you're going to go Slowick, like in all seriousness, what has he done over like a Kubiak? They
Oh, I'm
both
with
come
you.
from the same tree, and I've been really impressed firsthand with what Kubiak has done with these pieces offensively. So, like, no, I don't like the Slowick one. So far, I think Flores is the best option you've given me, or maybe pitcher, but I'd go Flores over him.
Yeah, I would too. But again, like I would like to see an offensive head coach, and maybe that's me being biased, sure. But I just like with Dennis Allen and the way that it's gone in the past, and maybe I'm thinking too much of, when Sean Payton came to New Orleans, he was a young coach, hadn't been a head coach, and he was the offensive mind, and it worked for you there. I know not every situation is going to be the same, but
Yeah.
I would prefer it if the Saints hired somebody that was getting their first opportunity as a head coach.
I agree with you from their past decision making, Jake. Maybe the only difference is if they think they're going to commit to a rebuild and they want to see if they can kind of bring up a young coach during said rebuild. But maybe that's a bad strategy. Maybe the better strategy is a more experienced known guy to get the rebuild. Then after you've rebuilt a bit, then you maybe go the young. I don't know. There's a million different ways to play out. But again, this is also why I don't hate the Rizzler if he finishes strong here. Is because I think it's going to be a couple of years of kind of resetting everything, and maybe finds a way to kind of keep you a little frisky during that window. We'll see. He has a chance to prove it on the field.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.